Yo, Atlas speaking, and welcome to part 3 of What If I Was Reborn in the Naruto world as Obito Uchiha with the Universal Gamer System. Let the tale begin. Chapter 41, A Stunning Performance. Obito formed a series of hand seals, his voice steady and clear. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Two identical clones suddenly appeared, standing in a row beside him. Might Guy tugged excitedly at his pants, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. 3 Obitos? This is going to be amazing. In the stands. The third Hokage sipped his tea, a trace of surprise flickering across his face. Little Obito has grown skilled enough to use shadow clones so proficiently? Beside him, Kasuke wore an odd expression, his tone tinged with disbelief. Obito? That kid? Back at the academy, he couldn't even manage the basic clone jutsu. But shadow clones? He's learned those fast. Something about it didn't sit right. Then again, Kasuke mused, the shinobi world wasn't exactly bound by logic. The third Hokage chuckled, thoroughly enjoying his tea as he nodded approvingly. Not bad. Not bad at all. Little did he know, his amusement wouldn't last much longer. On the arena floor, Obito faced Guy with a serious expression. Guy, the next technique I'm about to show you is terrifying. Be prepared to handle it carefully. Guy's face flushed crimson, his youthful energy bubbling over. Obito, you saying that just makes me even more excited. Ah, my youth is about to ignite like never before? Obito gave a solemn nod. Alright then. With Guy's consent, he mentally prepared himself, clasping his hands together. For this move, I'll channel the spirit of the greats Teacher Kara, Teacher Hodo, Teacher Ozawa. It's decided. Time to astonish everyone. Sexy Jutsu. A cloud of smoke billowed and dissipated, revealing 3 women standing on the stage. Though their beauty wasn't exactly otherworldly, they exuded a captivating charm that was impossible to ignore. Their figures weren't outrageously curvaceous, yet they inspired longing in every onlooker. Their innocent yet enticing demeanor stirred something primal, an inexplicable magnetism radiating from them. The arena fell into utter silence. The men were dumbstruck, the women confused. What in the world was this jutsu? Was this even allowed to be viewed freely in public? *PM. The third Hokage choked, tea spraying from his mouth directly onto Kasuke's face. Kasuke, 777. Nice tea. Smooth, rich, sweet, refreshing. Rin stood frozen, her mouth slightly ajar as she stared at Obito, completely dumbfounded. Obito. What is he doing? Kakashi sighed heavily, one hand covering his face. This idiot. A flood of unpleasant memories from training days past surged into his mind, unbidden and unstoppable, almost making his head spin. Shikayu buried his face in his hands, silently disowning Obito in his mind. I don't know this guy. So many people are watching. He's embarrassing the entire village. Ryoko glanced at the stage, her self-esteem taking a direct hit. Am I really that small? Nagano's gaze was locked on the women, unblinking. A bold thought crept into his mind, and his smile turned slightly inappropriate. On the stage, Obito's face remained deadly serious. The sexy jutsu requires both form and spirit to succeed. He had the form down, but to perfect the technique, he needed the spirit. Memories of countless poses flashed through his mind as he adjusted his stance, his movements becoming more fluid and alluring. Kanahadaku's secrets, unveiled. The 3 scantily clad women on the stage began executing complicated, physically demanding poses, each more outrageous than the last. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The people of Konoha, truly unfathomable. What terrifying ninjutsu! We've never even heard of such techniques before. Scandalous. A test taker performing that in public just to pass. Hey, your phrasing is spot on. Care to join the Water Country News Division? We could use your talent. Salary negotiable. This is disgraceful. Hey! You in front! Sit down already, you're blocking my view. Chapter 42, Obito, I'm losing it. Spectator stands. Crack. Hiruzen Sarutobi's face darkened to a shade not unlike Danzo's. The teacup in his hand shattered with an audible snap. Around him, mocking laughter echoed endlessly. Ah, I'm dying! Konoha, the great ninja village, truly teeming with talent. Indeed. That young fellow is a rare find. I'd be willing to pay handsomely to recruit him. Why? Asterisk, no reason. This is just my type. Degree hashtag, what? Hiruzen snorted coldly and turned to the man beside him. Kisuke, is this the kind of student you've been teaching? Kisuke felt a wave of injustice crash over him. This kid's absurdity has nothing to do with me. If you keep blaming me, I'm quitting. I'll open a convenience store. Seeing Kisuke refuse to respond, Hiruzen straightened in his seat, feigning anger as he turned his attention back to the stage. That transformation jutsu, it's remarkable. No, this won't do. This jutsu must be banned. Such a technique, turning the mundane into the extraordinary, it cannot be allowed to fall into the hands of other villages. Arena. Might Guy's blood surged as he faced the three young women before him. His face flushed deep red. Obito, are you mocking me? Obito looked thoroughly perplexed. Mocking? These three charming beauties? If anything, real mockery would cost extra. At that moment, the examiner's cool, crisp voice cut through the commotion. Uchiha Obito, you have violated the rules of the exam. I hereby revoke your qualification for this round. Obito's heart sank. He dispelled the transformation jutsu, looking aggrieved as he asked the examiner, wait, what did I do wrong? The examiner's face remained cold. My word is the rule. Leave now, or you'll never take the Chunin exams again. Obito frowned, frustration bubbling within him. Who does she think she is, acting so high and mighty? Oh, wait. She did say her name earlier. Sarutobi something. Never mind then. With a heavy heart, Obito left the stage, inwardly sighing. If only the examiner had been a guy. Forget kicking me out, they'd probably have begged me to stay on stage forever. Down below, Rin watched Obito's retreat with worry and hurried over. Obito, are you okay? Kakashi wanted to follow, but his aloof persona held him back. After a moment of hesitation, he stayed rooted where he was. Obito squeezed Rin's hand and gave her a reassuring smile. I'm fine, Rin-chan. Really? Rin scrutinized him suspiciously, but to her surprise, he truly didn't seem upset. As the two exchanged words, the examiner's voice rang out again. Next match, Nagano and Noura Rin. Oh, it's my turn. Rin took a couple of steps toward the arena before pausing and looking back at Obito. Take care of yourself, okay? Obito smiled and gave her a thumbs up. Good luck, Rin! After Rin headed up, Shikayu approached Obito, patting him on the shoulder. Don't take it to heart. Obito chatted with Shikayu for a bit before leaving the exam site. Ensuring he was alone, he muttered cautiously, System Kuin, this should count as completing the task, right? If this doesn't qualify as stealing the show, I should have just transformed into that teacher from the Three Mountains instead. The system remained silent for a moment. Task completed. Reward, Hashirama Cell Enhancement. Hearing the familiar notification, Obito cheered. Woohoo! Who cares about the Chunin title? The rewards are what really matter. A warm current surged through his body, spreading to every inch of him. As it flowed, it altered his meridians, muscles, bones, even his cells. System products are top-notch. Obito marveled. In mere moments, his physical strength had undergone a minor leap. Carrying a bag of rice up several flights of stairs wouldn't even leave him winded now. His stamina, endurance, chakra reserves, everything had improved. Most importantly, he wouldn't have to worry about his vision deteriorating from overusing his sharingan anymore. Sure, I don't know a ton of jutsu, but with my current abilities, I'm probably at least Tokubetsu Jonin level. He swaggered smugly. Forget Chunin. I'll dominate as a Jinin just fine. That evening, Uchiha returned home looking utterly drained. Having spent the day watching the Chunin exams, he had witnessed his nephew's unique performance. Damn it. This brat has disgraced the Uchiha name. Though that girl was admittedly rather captivating. Shizzle emerged from his room upon hearing his father. Father, did the exams end? How did Obito perform? Kawa winced at his son's eager expression. After careful consideration, he cautiously replied, Shizzle, your cousin didn't pass, but he did manage to, steal the show. Something no other examinee achieved, so, that's good, right? Shizzle clenched his fist excitedly. I knew it. Kawa stared at his son's worshipful expression and sighed inwardly. I need to keep him away from Obito, before he gets corrupted. The next day, at Minato's team's meeting point, Obito stared at Rin in disbelief. Wait, Rin, what did you just say? You heard me. Rin fiddled with her fingers sheepishly. Other than me, everyone else passed the Chunin exams. Even that sparrow? Obito muttered, visibly shaken. Sure, I don't care about the title, but being the only Jinin? That's embarrassing. Kakashi shot him a glance, his deadpan expression in place. Idiot. You had the skills to pass but decided to clown around. Obito gave him a light punch. Damn you, Kakashi. Can't you comfort me instead of mocking me? Obito. Kakashi. You too. Again? As the trio bickered, Minato landed gracefully nearby, smiling warmly. Good energy today. That's great. He paused. We have a new mission. Prepare to leave the village soon. Chapter 43, I have an idea. All right. As soon as he heard there was a new mission, Obito's spirits lifted, banishing his earlier gloom. Sensei Minato, what's the mission? Do we have to leave the village? It must be exciting, right? Minato looked at Obito, a playful smile creeping onto his face. Haha, it's definitely an interesting mission, he said. But this time, we only need 3 people, Obito froze. Only 3 people? That means someone will be left behind, and that person isn't. Minato nodded slightly, his expression confirming Obito's fears. That's right. You won't be joining this mission, Obito. Obito clutched his head in despair, letting out a long wail. Sensei Minato. How could you? Minato laughed heartily, waving his hand dismissively. I couldn't resist teasing you. After all, you gave me quite the hard time yesterday, remember? Obito froze, guilt flashing across his face. Anyway, the reason you're staying behind is that I have a special task for you. Obito's eyes lit up again. Oh? A special task? Am I going undercover in the land of Earth? Minato shook his head, his expression turning somewhat peculiar. Not quite. There's a pharmacy owner who's requested a ninja to help organize her stock. She specifically asked for you by name. Obito slumped, letting out a resigned sigh. Of course, the person who'd made the request had to be Yuki. How did it come to this? You're all heading off on exciting missions while I'm stuck helping a beautiful woman in a quiet pharmacy. Do you really think I'll be unhappy about this? Well, you read me like a book. Rin chimed in with a cheerful smile. The client must be an elderly woman Obito helped before. She probably likes him a lot. Kakashi nodded in agreement, looking at Obito with barely disguised glee. Obito huffed, annoyed by Kakashi's mocking expression. Wrong! The client is a beautiful big sister type. She's drop-dead gorgeous. Kakashi scoffed, entirely unconvinced. He didn't believe a single punctuation mark in Obito's claim. The average age of Obito's acquaintances had to start at 50. Drop-dead gorgeous? Maybe. If you multiplied her age by 4. Alright, we're heading out, Minato said with a chuckle. Obito, you should prepare and head to the pharmacy soon. Obito sighed again, his agreement half-hearted. Yes, Sensei Minato. Minato led Rin and Kakashi away, Rin waving back with a playful gesture. See you later, Obito. Bye-bye dash. Kakashi, hands in his pockets, simply shrugged. Let's go. After watching them leave, Obito turned toward the pharmacy. It only took him about 10 minutes to reach the door. The moment he stepped inside, he was greeted by a familiar figure. Yuki was sitting behind the counter, her smile as captivating as ever. Well, well. You're here, kid. Obito scratched the back of his head, grinning sheepishly. Yuki-ne, long time no see. Yuki tapped her fingers on the counter, getting straight to the point. Since you're here, let's get to work. Go move the crates outside into the shop. That's straightforward, huh? Fine. Let's get it done, then. But just as he rolled up his sleeves, a notification popped into his mind. Choice event activated. Diligently transport the herbs and be a good boy. Reward, none. Good boys don't need rewards. Pretend to carry herbs while secretly admiring Yuki. Reward, sexy technique level up. Work? What's work? Chat with Yuki instead. Reward, +1 Yuki favorability. Reminder, when Yuki's favorability reaches a certain threshold, additional missions can be unlocked. Obito stared at the options, feeling a bit conflicted. Clearly, he still didn't understand women. If he hadn't seen these choices, he might have actually started working. Option 1? Out of the question. Option 2? Ha! As if he, Uchiha Obito, would ever stoop to being a pervert. Or a monk. Option 3 it is. 333333333. Obito grabbed a small stool, plopped himself beside Iam, and grinned. Yuki-ne, it's been ages. Let's chat, shall we? Choice successful. Reward, +1 Yuki favorability. A sly smile curled at the corners of Yuki's lips. Alright then. What do you want to talk about? Obito hesitated for a moment before tentatively suggesting. How about something sensitive? Yuki blinked in surprise, a slight blush creeping onto her cheeks. As sensitive? What kind of topic are you talking about? Walt, am I overthinking this? He's just a kid, right? Obito's grin widened. Like your opinion on the current chaos among the 5 great nations? Yuki rolled her eyes, her earlier embarrassment replaced by exasperation. Kid, are you just messing with me? Of course. Obito said matter-of-factly. If it weren't fun, why would I do it? Yuki stared at him, speechless. Well, you've got a point. The two spent the entire day chatting, their conversation growing deeper and more lively as time passed. By the time dusk fell, Obito reluctantly took his leave, his mood as bright as ever. As she watched him go, Yuki murmured to herself with a faint smile. That kid, he's really something. Wait. Her eyes fell on the crates still sitting outside the store. Wasn't he supposed to move these? Looking at the untouched crates, her flawless face darkened. Obito, meanwhile, strolled home humming a cheerful tune. Chatting with a pretty lady and getting paid for it? Maybe I really do have what it takes to live the easy life. Think Kagayaba-sama would go for someone like me. After daydreaming for a bit, Obito sat cross-legged on the floor, ready to put his new idea into practice. My body's modifications are complete. It should be able to handle that power now. Back when Tsukumo died and his Sharingan awakened, the second Tomo had almost formed. But his body couldn't bear the strain, so it didn't fully activate. He could feel it, though that power still lingered, waiting to emerge. Time to draw it out and upgrade my Sharingan. Chapter 44, 2 Tomo, a new choice. Alright, let's begin. Obito took a deep breath and cast a Jinjutsu on himself. His consciousness was dragged into a vivid illusion, sealed within it. He would be forced to witness everything that followed, unable to look away. The scene unfolded. A steep cliff loomed under a blood-red moon. In the suffocating darkness of night, masked figures stood, their faces hidden but their intent clear. They remained shrouded in the shadows, gripping sharp blades, their indifferent gazes fixed on two young figures before them. It was as if they were looking at corpses. Swish! Blades were drawn with a chilling resonance. Phantom-like figures lunged at the two youths. Zing zing! A sharp, bird-like chirp rang out. A silver-haired boy charged at one of the attackers, lightning crackling in his hand. Yet the lightning did not strike the enemy as intended. For reasons he could not comprehend, it pierced the chest of his companion instead. Blood blossomed from the girl's chest like a sinister flower. Rin! The girl fell, a smile still gracing her face. In that moment, it was as if flames ignited in the hearts of the two boys. Aya! Back in reality, Obito let out a guttural, heart-wrenching growl. Because right now, he was Obito. He was the protagonist of this tragedy. The girl he loved had been struck down by his closest friend, his trusted companion. The overwhelming sense of immersion was something an outsider could never truly understand. Pain and despair, anger and confusion. All these negative emotions surged relentlessly from within, battering his soul and consciousness. Boom! The latent power in his mind stirred. It erupted violently, surging into his eyes. When Obito opened his eyes again, a blood-red sharingan stared back at him in his reflection. Two tomo spun slowly within its depths. It worked. Obito muttered to himself, but there was no joy in his voice. The Jinjutsu had amplified his emotions, leaving him still mired in the sorrow of Rin's death. After a long while, he exhaled deeply, shaking off the lingering shadow in his heart. Phew, finally awakened the two tomo sharingan. Not bad. But this method will probably only work this once. If I hadn't already briefly activated the two tomo before. An illusion whose outcome I already know wouldn't have been intense enough to trigger such a response. Obito wiped the sweat from his forehead, lying back on his small bed as a rare peace settled over him. Before long, he drifted into a restful sleep. The next morning, Obito woke up bursting with energy. Being his usual cheerful self, he had already tossed the troubles of yesterday out the window. Minato-sensei and the others probably won't be back today. What should I do? Now that I think about it, I haven't set any new goals for myself recently. With that thought, he tried asking hesitantly, "Hey, system, how about giving me a challenge?" System, ding? Option 1, complete 100 D-rank missions within 6 months. Reward, +1 patience. Option 2, defeat 20 Chunin within 6 months. Reward, Taijutsu upgrade, Jonin level. Option 3, complete 30 C-rank missions within 6 months. Reward, Labor is Glorious BGM. Labor is Glorious BGM. With this as your background music, no one can outgrind you. When your stamina is exhausted, instantly recover 20% of your maximum stamina. Effect can only be triggered once per day. +1 patience? What the heck is that? Obito immediately dismissed option 1 and continued reading the other choices. Defeat. Chapter 45, Tempting Rewards. Obito straightened his small frame and began speaking confidently. Minato-sensei, I think we can do this, and then this. Or maybe this, followed by that. After rattling off several ideas in one go, he turned expectantly to Minato. Sensei, what do you think of my ideas? Minato fell silent for a moment, then spoke slowly. After listening to your analysis, I think we need to analyze a bit more. Obito, 777. Kakashi chimed in, his tone flat. If your ideas had any feasibility, they wouldn't be completely unfeasible. Obito? What? Are you two messing with me? Feeling frustrated, Obito squatted back down, sulking. Rin smiled softly at the sight and moved to his side, patting his back gently to console him. Minato sighed and turned to Kakashi. "Alright, Kakashi, let's hear your thoughts." Kakashi nodded slightly, his expression thoughtful. After a brief moment, he presented a well-organized plan. "We can do this, and then..." Minato nodded in approval. "Excellent. Let's proceed with Kakashi's plan. I'll cover you all. Let's begin." Kakashi's plan was precise and efficient. With the three working in perfect sync, they quickly subdued the fugitive. Still sore about losing face earlier, Obito volunteered to interrogate the captive. "Walt here at the cave entrance. I'll handle this." With that, Obito strode confidently into the cave. He loomed over the tied-up fugitive on the ground, his gaze full of mischief. He. The fugitive's eyes widened in panic, sensing danger. "Why you? Don't come any closer." He. What you think doesn't matter." Obito marched forward and began raining blows on the fugitive. "Talk! Spill it! Are you going to talk or not?" "I dash. Asterisk still playing tough, huh? Looks like you're a hard case. Take this." "Ah." Outside the cave, Rin listened to the screams and began to feel uneasy. "Obito, did he even ask any questions?" Minato and Kakashi exchanged glances. "Now that you mention it." The three quickly entered the cave, only to find the fugitive on the verge of passing out, frothing at the mouth. "Obito!" Rin hurriedly stopped him. "Didn't you forget to ask any questions before you started hitting him?" Obito scratched his head awkwardly. Did he really forget? He'd been so focused on outperforming Kakashi that he might have. The fugitive, swollen and bruised like a pig, was on the verge of tears. "You started hitting me the moment you walked in. I wanted to talk, but you didn't even ask?" Flustered, Obito stomped his foot and snapped. "If I don't ask, can't you just answer on your own? Can't you volunteer the information? Why do I have to ask you first? What are you, my girlfriend?" Terrified by Obito's unpredictable temper, the fugitive spilled everything he knew, fearing he wouldn't get another chance to speak. Minato's expression turned odd as he watched. Though the process had been unconventional, the outcome wasn't bad. "Well, let's get him to the Fire Country's prison. Once that's done, this mission is complete." Obito grabbed the fugitive by the collar and spat disdainfully. "Let's go, you two-faced loser." "Humph." Fugitive, 777. "If I don't talk, I get beaten. If I do talk, I still get insulted. Can we act like decent people here? I'm only 20. I just wanted to survive. How is that a crime?" Months later, outside the Konoha Mission Hall. Kakashi touched his forehead protector thoughtfully. "We've been taking on missions more frequently lately." Hearing this, Obito and Rin nodded with serious expressions. At first, they'd only taken on C-rank missions about once every 10 days. But over time, the frequency had increased, sometimes twice in 10 days. Though it meant Obito was completing missions faster, it wasn't exactly a good sign. This increase in missions reflected growing unrest in the shinobi world. While the three of them discussed outside, Minato was inside, submitting their latest task. Mission completed. Reward, labor is glorious BGM. Hearing the system notification in his mind, Obito suddenly realized he'd completed 30 C-rank missions. When Minato came out of the mission hall, he smiled at Obito. "Obito, are you planning to participate in the upcoming Chunin exams?" Rin, standing beside him, sighed softly. "Time flies so fast, it's Chunin exams time again." Kakashi nodded in agreement. "It feels like the last exam was just 2 days ago." Obito didn't answer right away. Because if everything went as expected, the clever, reliable system Chunin would probably give him a choice. The system sighed in exasperation. Asterisk. "Do you think such a cheap trick will work on me?" Ding! Choice 1. Participate in the Chunin exams and become a Jonin. Reward, chakra doubled, just a tease, you're not getting it, dot. Choice 2. Participate in the Chunin exams and become a Chunin. Reward, camel limited card. Choice 3. Refuse to participate, stay a Jinin. Reward, fire release, great fire annihilation. Camel limited card, activates Mangekyo Sharingan's camel ability when 3-Tomo Sharingan is active. Obito's lips twitched at the first option. Yeah, no. Hard pass. The second and third options, though, had tempting rewards. Camel limited card and great fire annihilation, both were excellent choices. He recalled Madara's legendary battlefield moment, obliterating dozens of Shinobi Alliance members with great fire annihilation despite their water jutsu countermeasures. However, as much as he admired great fire annihilation, Obito couldn't resist the allure of the camel limited card. After all, the Mangekyo Sharingan's abilities depended on one's emotional state during awakening. Obito worried his messy thoughts might result in a bizarre ability. If that happened, he'd cry himself to sleep in some girl's arms. No, he couldn't take that risk. A double camel setup would be ideal. Camel plus Susanoo Young, successful, and invincible. Chapter 46, Meet Me in the Forest Tonight. Obito made up his mind and chose the second option. He turned to Minato, his gaze firm. Minato-sensei, this time, I will definitely become a Chunin. Minato smiled, pulling out a sheet of paper from his pouch and handing it to Obito. All right. I believe in you, Obito. Obito took the paper, feeling touched. It was a Chunin exam application form. Thank you, he said earnestly. Minato waved a hand dismissively, signaling it wasn't a big deal. Kakashi glanced at Obito and said, You'd better take this exam seriously and not cause any trouble this time. Obito chuckled. That's good advice. Maybe next time, just don't say anything. Kakashi. The last time he was this speechless, was the last time. Minato clapped his hands, interrupting the pair. Obito, this year's Chunin exams are a little different. I need to explain in advance. This time, the group battle stage has been cancelled. Once you pass the written exam, you only need to succeed in the individual combat stage to become a Chunin. Not just Obito, but Rin and Kakashi also grew serious upon hearing this. The village relaxing the Chunin exam requirements. Was this to expand the military force? Rin couldn't help but ask. Minato-sensei, is Konoha about to join the war directly? Ever since the third Kazekage disappeared, the Land of Lightning had taken advantage, launching an attack on the Land of Wind and sparking a conflict between the great nations. The ninja world had become a chaotic mess. Minato's gaze lowered slightly. He didn't directly answer Rin's question, instead patting her on the head. That's not something you need to worry about. No matter what happens, your sensei and other shinobi will shield you from the storm. The three of them felt a weight settle in their hearts. It seemed a full-scale war wasn't far off. Seeing their worried faces, Minato chuckled softly. All right, Obito. Focus on preparing for the Chunin exams in a few days. We'll be there with everyone to cheer you on. Obito nodded firmly. Got it. The days flew by, and soon it was time for the exams. Confidently, Obito headed to the exam hall for the first round of the written test. For some reason, Obito felt the questions were noticeably easier than last time. This time, I'll definitely get a decent score. When the results came out, Obito barely passed again, ranking near the bottom of the list. He let out a relieved sigh. Phew! Now, on to the combat test. A week later, at Konoha's arena. Obito looked around but only saw Rin. He approached her, puzzled. Minato-sensei's probably busy, so I won't ask, but where's that guy Kakashi? Didn't he say he'd come to cheer me on? Rin gave a sheepish smile. Apparently, Guy dragged him off to the training grounds for a duel early this morning. Obito pouted, clearly annoyed. Humph, I knew he couldn't be relied on. Rin, you're the best. Watching him sulk like a child, Rin reached out her hand to pat his head. Obito bent down slightly, letting her. Hee. Rin giggled as she ruffled his hair and then tidied it. Do your best, Obito. Blushing slightly, Obito nodded vigorously. Got it, Rin. On the stage, the examiner called out the next match. Match 3, Uchiha Obito vs. Hamabok. It's my turn. I'm going, Rin. Good luck. Obito walked onto the stage. His opponent, Hamabaki, was a shinobi from Takigakure, but his muscular physique was more reminiscent of a warrior. Broad shoulders, bulging muscles, his biceps were probably thicker than Obito's thighs. Begin! At the examiner's signal, Obito's hand went straight to his short blade. Slash! In a flash, he crossed the 10-meter distance, his blade cutting through the air as if to sever everything in its path. Hamabaki didn't flinch, raising his knuckle dusters to block. Clang! The metallic sound rang out as Hama took 3 steps back, while Obito only retreated 1 step. Digging his toes into the ground, Obito launched himself forward again. Clang! 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 Sparks flew as Hama struggled to keep up with Obito's relentless attacks, continuously forced back. You're pretty strong to block my strikes, Obito commented, genuinely surprised. Hama backle. I feel like you're showing off, but I have no proof. Obito swung his blade again but suddenly retreated mid-swing. His hands formed seals as his chest heaved. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. A blazing fireball shot toward Hama, who narrowly avoided it with a swift leap. Still can't hit anyone. Obito muttered under his breath. Forming seals again, he created a shadow clone. Tossing his blade to the clone, Obito armed himself with Kanal and charged together with his doppelganger. The match ended swiftly. Despite Hama's strength, Obito's skill overwhelmed him. The winner, Uchiha Obito, the examiner announced, though with a hint of disappointment. He had hoped to witness the infamous forbidden technique that had shocked everyone during the last exam. Obito smoothed his clothes and stepped off the stage, where Rin greeted him enthusiastically. You won! That was amazing, Obito. Scratching his head shyly, Obito replied. It wasn't much. In front of Rin, he was always the awkward, bashful boy. Obito's next few matches went just as smoothly, securing his victory in each one. After the final battles concluded, he was officially declared a Chunin. Great! I'm 1 step closer to becoming Hokage, he exclaimed, grinning to himself. In his mind, the system's voice chimed. Selection successful. Reward, Camel Limited card. Woohoo! The cheat is finally here. Obito cheered internally. Just then, Rin beckoned him over with a mysterious look. Obito, come here. I need to tell you something. Curious, Obito leaned in closer. Rin whispered softly into his ear. Meet me in the forest where we usually train, 1 hour from now. Her breath tickled his ear, sending his heart racing. His face flushed as he stammered. As so late? What are we doing there? The sky was already dark, and in an hour, visibility would be almost non-existent. Rin stuck out her tongue playfully. You'll find out when you get there. See you! With that, she skipped away, leaving Obito behind, itching with anticipation. He couldn't wait to leap an hour forward and uncover the mystery. Chapter 47, Madara and Zetsu. Asterisk, next, all ninja who pass the exam, please step forward to receive the relevant documents. Obito endured 5 minutes of monotonous announcements. After finally getting his files, he rushed home in a hurry. Hearing the commotion, his grandmother stepped out of the house with a warm smile. Obito, how was the exam today? Did you pass? Grinning ear to ear, Obito pulled out a stack of documents from his pocket and handed them over to her. Of course! Your grandson is now officially a Chunin. Look at my certificate, Grandma. I've got some things to take care of, so I'll talk to you later. With that, he dashed off to prepare for a bath. Time was tight. He needed to clean up, change clothes, and make himself look presentable. Watching his hurried figure, his grandmother chuckled and scolded lightheartedly. Slow down, slow down. Always so reckless? Returning to her room to fetch her reading glasses, she carefully examined the documents in her hands. Ah, my grandson is a Chunin now. Such a proud achievement. She squinted at the photo. But this picture is awful. My grandson is so handsome, how did they make him look like a stubby gourd? Half an hour later, Obito had styled his hair to look more mature and donned a dashing outfit. As he stepped outside, a cold gust of wind hit him. It dawned on him. Crap! I forgot my pants. After fixing his outfit properly, he hurried to the small grove where everyone usually trained. To his dismay, he realized he was late again. I need camel or flying thunder god. The quiet grove at night was serene, the tree branches swaying gently in the breeze as though waving to wayward souls. Huff, huff, huff. Obito jogged to the usual spot, only to hear a soft, familiar voice. Obito-kun, you're late again. Rin. Obito's eyes lit up as he quickened his pace. But when he arrived, he froze in surprise. Minato-sensei, Kakashi, Guy, Shikayu. Why is everyone here? A playful voice chimed in. Obito, don't forget about me. Obito scratched his head awkwardly. Haha, sorry, Ryoko, I didn't see you there. Shikayu smirked. Rin and Minato-sensei gathered everyone to celebrate you finally becoming a Chunin. Hey, what about me? Kakashi's fish-like eyes twitched as he raged silently. Obito's eyes grew moist as he looked at everyone. Rin walked up to him with a smile and held his hand. We even prepared gifts for you. Here, this is a ninja pouch I sewed myself. She handed him a small package. Minato offered him a book. This is my favorite book. Read it during your downtime. Ryoko gave him a brand new set of kunai. Obito, I got you weighted gear. We can spar daily. Before Guy could finish, Obito cut him off. All right. Thanks, Guy. Shikayu held out a small chess set. I'm giving you this chessboard. Feel free to find me for a game anytime. Oh, and... He fished out a kunai from his pocket and handed it to Obito along with the chessboard. This is from Nagano. Obito stared in disbelief at the kunai and the little box. No way, that guy actually got me a gift? Inspecting the kunai, he noticed the blade was etched with the words dead last. Obito smacked his lips. Yep, totally Nagano's style. Hugging his armful of gifts, he bowed deeply to everyone. Thank you, everyone. Really, thank you. Shikayu laughed. You're way too polite, Obito. Ryoko chimed in. Yeah, there's no need for formalities between us. Minato smiled. I will leave you young ones to chat. Everyone waved goodbye. After they left, Shikayu stretched lazily. You three can chat. Ryoko and I are heading out. Nagano's waiting for us to grab some late-night snacks. Obito nodded, patting Shikayu on the shoulder. Sure. Let's have tea sometime. Rin waved goodbye. Bye, Shikayu, Ryoko. Kakashi raised an eyebrow in silent farewell. As Shikayu and Ryoko left, the grove became quiet again, leaving only the three of them. Obito looked at Rin, gratitude brimming in his eyes. Thanks for all of this, Rin. Moments like these were new to him, and he cherished them deeply. In his heart, he thought, looks like I'm becoming more important to Rin. Kakashi scoffed. Happy face. Obito shot him a look. Dizzy face. What? Where's my gift? Kakashi scoffed. Didn't get you one. Rin sighed, stepping between them. Obito, Kakashi helped organize this. You should thank him. Obito glanced at Kakashi, realizing his mistake. Ah, my bad. Thanks, Kakashi. Kakashi scoffed once more but seemed less annoyed. The three of them chatted as they walked, soon reaching the edge of the grove where the quiet streets came into view. Kakashi suddenly pulled out a small, thin package and handed it to Obito before walking away briskly. Hey, you! Kakashi, 7. At the border of the Land of Fire and the Land of Grass, a concealed underground base stretched deep below the surface. In the grand hall, a monstrous statue loomed, casting shadows over the room. On the stone throne in front of it sat an elderly man with white hair and sunken cheeks, his gaunt body skeletal. If not for someone pointing it out, no one would believe that this frail, decrepit figure was the infamous Uchiha Madara, the one who once shook the ninja world with his wrath. What's going on, 7? Madara opened his eyes weakly, a flicker of unease crossing his gaze. Moments ago, he had felt something, an inexplicable sensation of power being drawn away from him. The intense loss had startled him awake. Madara-sama, what's wrong? A shadowy figure emerged from the ground, its voice laced with concern. Madara closed his eyes briefly, then shook his head. Nothing. Perhaps it was just my imagination. The shadowy figure Black Zetsu looked up in shock. He could sense it clearly. Madara's body no longer held the presence of that chakra. How could this be possible? Madara was still alive, yet the chakra was gone. For the first time in millennia, Black Zetsu felt a flicker of panic. Noticing Zetsu's unusual behavior, Madara frowned slightly. What's wrong, Zetsu? Black Zetsu quickly masked his emotions and bowed respectfully. Nothing, Madara-sama. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. Madara closed his eyes again, resuming his absorption of the life force from the ghetto statue through the tubes connected to his back. As Madara drifted back into slumber, Black Zetsu's expression darkened. For the first time, it felt as though the strings it had meticulously woven around the ninja world were unraveling beyond its grasp. Chapter 48, Wheels of Fate. Konoha. Minato stepped out of the Hokage's office and glanced at the clock outside. Ah, it's already this late. Kushina must be asleep by now, he muttered to himself. With a quick flying thunder god technique, he quietly teleported into the living room of his home. To his surprise, the lights were still on. Kushina sat alone at the table, lost in thought. A little puzzled, Minato asked gently, Kushina, why are you still up? It's so late. Then, with a touched expression, he added, don't tell me, you were waiting for me? Kushina shook her head. No. Oh. She turned toward him, her expression complicated. Minato, there's something I need to tell you. You, 7. Her hesitation made Minato nervous, his mind racing with possibilities. I might be a mom soon, she said, her voice soft but steady. What? Minato froze, his iconic Hokage standing upright in shock. He stood there, dumbfounded, for what felt like an eternity. Then he stammered, almost unable to believe it. I am going to be a dad? We're having a baby? Kushina bit her lip and nodded shyly. Yeah. This. Minato quickly understood why Kushina seemed so unsettled. Given their age, neither had seriously considered having children yet. This unexpected news left her feeling a little lost. Standing beside her, Minato gently pulled her into his arms. Even though it's sudden, isn't this baby a wonderful surprise? Resting her head against his chest, Kushina nodded firmly. You're right. This means our family will soon have 3 people. But... She paused, her face flushing red. We're not even married yet. Minato chuckled heartily. Then let's get married. Will you marry me? Kushina's face turned even redder as she punched him lightly on the chest. Don't think you can get away with this so easily. You need to propose properly. With a loud boom, Minato was sent flying, smashing into the wall and leaving a massive shape behind. Kushina panicked and ran outside, shouting, "Minato, are you okay?" From outside came his trembling voice, "I'm fine." Ever since becoming a Jinchuriki, Kushina hadn't been able to fully control her strength. Minato quietly decided it might be safer to keep some distance for now. Letting her lightly punch him again might really be the end of him. Back inside, Minato dusted himself off and spoke seriously. "Kushina, let's keep your pregnancy a secret for now. Tomorrow, I'll report it to Lord Third and figure out the best way to handle this." Kushina nodded. "I understand, Minato." She then pouted. Now that I think about it, it's all your student's fault. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have a baby so soon." Minato scratched his head with an awkward smile. Kushina wasn't wrong. Obito's special gift of extra fortified sake had certainly sped things up. Hokage's office. After Minato left, the third Hokage retrieved a crystal ball from his drawer. With a flick of his smoking pipe, the orb activated, showing a scene within it. "Oh, young Obito is at it again. Not bad, not bad," he mused, sipping tea with a contented smile. But something seemed off. "Wait, why is that girl's face getting redder?" The third leaned closer to the orb, scrutinizing the young woman within. Her cheeks were flushed so deeply they almost seemed to glow. Then, boom! The girl exploded. What the dash? Startled, the third Hokage dropped his pipe. Imagine admiring something beautiful, only for it to suddenly blow up in your face. Two ANBU guards rushed into the room. "Lord Third, are you alright?" With practiced calm, the third quickly stashed the crystal ball and waved them off. "I'm fine. Just dropped my pipe." "You're dismissed." "Yes." Once the guards left, the third slammed his hand on the desk, frustrated. "Obito, what is wrong with that kid? Who even does this?" He rubbed his temples. "Summoning a pretty girl, letting her dance, and then making her explode? And wasn't that just his shadow clone? Doesn't even make sense to blow yourself up in a forest." After detonating his shadow clone, Obito performed another series of seals, creating a new one. "Bro, are you okay? How do you feel?" The newly formed clone smacked its lips thoughtfully. I actually feel great. Is this what they call art? It's so liberating." Obito, 777. Worried, he placed a hand on the clone's shoulder. "Bro, you didn't blow yourself stupid, did you?" The clone smacked his hand away, indignant. "Watch it, idiot. Don't touch me with your dirty hands." Asterisk. Are you trying to act like Deidara now? With an exasperated slap, Obito dispelled the clone entirely. Mount Myaboku. Inside the sacred shrine, Fukasaku hopped energetically toward the great toad sage, who was dozing on his throne. "Jiraiya has arrived." The great toad sage struggled to open his eyes, his gaze unfocused, half asleep. Fukasaku called again, exasperated. "Grand Elder, wake up!" The glant toad jolted awake, blinking groggily. Behind Fukasaku and Shima stood a tall human man with oil emblazoned on his forehead protector. Clad in a brown robe and red cloak, wooden clogs on his feet, and long white hair. Trailing behind him, the man's red eye marks resembled streaks of blood. The great toad sage studied him for a moment before mumbling, "Who's this guy?" "Grand Elder, it's Jiraiya." Fukasaku reminded him. "Ah, yes, Jiraiya. You've grown so much." Shima sighed. "You're the one who summoned him here. Have you forgotten already? Don't be rude to the Grand Elder." Fukasaku snapped. The great toad sage waved a hand lazily. Don't fight, don't fight. A couple should live in harmony." He turned his attention to Jiraiya, his gaze growing deeper. "The wheels of destiny have begun to turn. Where they'll lead is up to you, Jiraiya. You'll either be crushed beneath the tides or ride the waves to victory." Which path will you choose? Chapter 49, Obito and Shisui. Konoha. Obito returned home carrying a pile of gifts. Once inside, he finally had his hands free to pick up the envelope Kakashi had handed him earlier. To be honest, he'd thought about asking Rin to help check its contents. But the moment Rin saw the envelope, she hesitated and declined. Rin's inner thoughts, what if it's a love letter? Ah! What could it be? Obito wondered as he curiously opened the envelope. Huh? What's this? He tilted the envelope, and a photo slid out. It was a picture of him, Tsukumo, and Kakashi. In the photo, Obito had his arms slung around Kakashi, standing in the front. Tsukumo stood behind them, looking at the two with a gentle expression. Kakashi, as usual, looked annoyed, while Obito beamed with a bright smile. Ah, this was taken back then. Obito murmured. Kakashi said he'd destroy this photo, so why did he have it developed? Men, huh? Always saying one thing but doing another. Obito ran his fingers over Tsukumo in the photo, a mix of warmth and determination flashing in his eyes. Uncle Tsukumo, I'll soon have the strength to avenge you. A few months later. In a small grove in Konoha. Obito stood with his hands behind his back, explaining patiently to the boy in front of him. Asterisk, alright, the key points of the fire release, Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson are basically these. Give it a try, Shizzle. Shizzle nodded, forming hand seals. Fire style, fire release, Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson. A stream of flames burst forth from his mouth, followed by a quick toss of a dozen shuriken. The spinning shuriken cut through the flames, scattering embers like fiery blossoms in the sky. Beautiful and deadly. Holy crap! Obito muttered, stunned by the sight of the blazing shuriken. It had taken him days to master this B-rank jutsu back in the day. But Shizzle? He nailed it on his first attempt. Is this talent I can't even surpass with cheats? No wonder he's Uncle's kid. Noticing his cousin's complex expression, Shizzle scratched his head, looking a bit unsure. Was that not good, cousin? Obito snapped out of his thoughts and gave Shizzle a grin, clapping a hand on his shoulder. No, your execution of the Phoenix Sage Flower Nail Crimson is excellent, every bit as good as mine. Shizzer's face lit up as he pumped his fist. That's great! His cousin's approval meant a lot to him. After a moment of contemplation, Shisui tilted his head. How long did it take you to learn this jutsu when you first practiced it? Obito froze, awkwardly clearing his throat. Roughly the same amount of time as you, give or take. Shizzle nodded earnestly, as if this confirmed his expectations. My cousin is amazing, after all. It makes sense you'd be just as quick. Let's not dwell on that. Obito laughed, quickly changing the subject. How about I spar with you for some kenjutsu practice next? Yes. Shizzle eagerly agreed, unsheathing his short sword. Obito drew his own blade, Kageshu, and the two began circling each other, closing the distance slowly. Since this was a teaching session, Obito didn't hold back, making the first move. He leapt forward, his blade slicing through the air. Whoosh! Shisui, unshaken, angled his sword upward to block. Clang! Sparks flew as their blades collided. Without missing a beat, Shisui shifted, twisting his body to strike back with a sweeping slash. Good move! Obito countered with a powerful swing that deflected Shizzer's blade before launching into another attack. They exchanged blow after blow, their blades singing in rhythm. Clang, clang, clang. The fight was fierce yet harmonious, a perfect balance of brotherly rivalry and camaraderie. After a satisfying bout, the two sat together under the shade of a tree, listening to the hum of cicadas and feeling the breeze on their faces. Thank you for sparring with me today, Shizzle said softly. You must be really busy now that you're a Chunin. Obito chuckled and slung an arm around Shizzle's shoulder. Why so formal with your cousin? If you ever need anything, just come find me. Shizzle nodded firmly. All right. After a pause, Shizzle turned thoughtful. Obito, the tension between our clan and the village seems to be growing. Whose fault do you think that is? Obito glanced at his young cousin in surprise. He's so young, yet already thinking about these issues? After a moment of thought, he answered, both sides, I'd say. Konoha has never fully accepted the Uchiha, and we've never truly integrated into the village. At the root of it all, there's a lack of trust. That's the source of every conflict. Shizzle's expression turned contemplative, nodding in agreement. So how do you think we can solve it? Obito scratched his head. Maybe if there was someone respected by both sides who could bridge the gap, things might change. Shisui's eyes lit up. Cousin, you'd be perfect for that. Me? Obito's expression turned complicated. You want someone plotting the clan's destruction to be its savior? But seeing the hope in Shizer's eyes, Obito couldn't bear to dash it. He ruffled the boy's hair. I don't know if I can do it, but I believe you can. Shizzle blushed but nodded resolutely. If you think I can, then I'll do my best together with you. Obito laughed and stood up, glancing at the sky. It's getting late. Let's wrap up for today. Shizzle reluctantly stood as well, bowing slightly. Goodbye, Obito. See you later, kid. As Obito watched Shizet leave, he hummed a light tune and started on his way home. System, wanna delete me? Fine, but if you do, I'll block you first. In the past few months, the system's tasks had been relatively mundane, with chakra as the most frequent reward. Obito estimated that his current chakra reserves were close to 1 Kakashi unit. For a 12-year-old boy who wasn't from the Senju or Uzumaki clans, it was a terrifyingly high amount. Chapter 50, Obito's Bold Intervention. With Hashirama's cells enhancing his potential, Obito still had plenty of room to grow. Aside from being a little lacking in ninjutsu, I should be about even with a Jonin by now, right? Obito muttered to himself as he strolled through the streets with his hands behind his head. As he reached a crossroads, he suddenly stopped. To the left was the road home. To the right, if he walked a bit farther, he'd arrive at Rin's modest little house. Should I just go home, or should I drop by Rin's place for a while? Obito hesitated, caught in indecision. The system sighed to itself. Without me, how do you even survive your decision-making struggles? Ding! Option 1, go straight home. It's late, and a boy like you shouldn't be wandering around outside. Completion reward, self-defense spray X1. Option 2, the night is long and lonely, go visit Rin. Completion reward, none. Option 3, don't go left or right, walk backward. Just because you can. Completion reward, rearview mirror X1. Obito glanced at the options. As usual, they were as ridiculous as ever. Option 2 has no reward? Alright, that rules out options 1 and 3. Guess I'll pick 2. It's just so unique. The system. If you want to flirt with a girl, just go. Don't pretend you've put actual thought into this. Obito, like a runaway puppy, bounded down the right-hand path. Rin, here I come! After 10 minutes of walking, Obito could see the familiar little house in the distance. But what also came into view were several uninvited guests. Huh? Obito frowned slightly. In front of the house stood Rin and her mother, arguing heatedly with a group of burly men. Their broad shoulders and fierce expressions screamed trouble. The man leading the group wore a headband and carried ninja tools at his waist. It was clear he was also a shinobi. Obito quietly approached to eavesdrop. Rin's mother spoke angrily, "You're just being shameless. I came to pay back the loan several times, and each time, you gave some excuse to delay it. I won't give you a single ryo more than the principal today." The leader sneered. That's not up to you. The 3% interest for overdue payments is clearly written in black and white. If you dare underpay even by a single coin, we'll settle this at the village's police department. This man was Katsutoshi, a lazy ninja who preferred shady dealings over earning an honest living through missions. To him, extorting vulnerable families like this was far more profitable. Rin's mother stood firm. Fine, let's go to the police department. You're not getting a single extra Rio from me today. Emil waved dismissively. Alright, boys, enough talking. Go inside and grab anything valuable. Rin drew a kunal and stood protectively in front of her mother. Let's see if any of you dare. Emil smirked and spoke mockingly. Little girl, do you know the consequences of attacking someone in the village? If someone reports you, your ninja license will be revoked. Rin's hand trembled slightly, but she held her ground. A flicker of regret passed through her mother's eyes. Emil had been introduced to her by a friend, so she had trusted him enough to borrow money. Who would have thought? She gritted her teeth and spoke bitterly. I'll pay you an extra 100,000 Rio. Take the money and leave immediately. Mother? Rin looked back in disbelief. Matt shook his head, feigning difficulty. Mrs. Noera, you're putting me in a tough spot here. 30,000 in interest, not a single Rio less. Otherwise, you'll have to find another way to repay your debt. Rin's mother pointed at Emil furiously. You! Growing impatient, Emil motioned to his thugs, who began removing their jackets and rolling up their sleeves, ready to act. At that moment, a calm voice rang out. Stop right there. I dare you to take another step. Everyone turned toward the source of the voice. Obito? What are you doing here? Rin exclaimed in surprise. Her mother pulled her back and whispered, Rin, tell your classmate to leave. Don't let him get involved. Rin's expression turned peculiar. It's fine, mother. Obito's identity is a bit special. Emil glanced at Obito, picking his nose in disdain. Where'd this brat come from? Another ninja, huh? Hey, kid! Obito pointed at himself, feigning shock. Brat? You dare talk to me like that? Emil scoffed, folding his arms. Where'd this clueless kid come from, trying to play the hero? Get lost before you embarrass yourself. Obito glanced down at his outfit, then suddenly realized. Ah, I left my jacket with the clan emblem back in the woods while training with Shikayu. No wonder this guy dared to talk to him like that. Obito smirked, raising his head to reveal his signature crimson sharingan. Emil froze. sh. Sharingan? Why, you're from the Uchiha clan? Obito chuckled mockingly. Wow, that attitude changed fast. Inside, Emil cursed. Of all people, why'd it have to be a Uchiha? Their clan's presence was like a death sentence for someone like him, operating in the gray areas of legality. Emil grumbled internally. Aren't these guys supposed to flaunt their clan emblem even on pajamas? Why isn't this kid following the usual playbook? Now I've embarrassed myself in front of everyone. Obito retracted his sharingan, looking at Emil with a faint smirk. I've heard enough to understand this situation. You get the principle, destroy the IOU, and this matter ends here. Emil's expression darkened. Young master, isn't that a bit? Obito scratched his head, muttering to himself. Uncle should be off duty by now. Should I have him work overtime for this? But if I do, he'll probably lose his temper. Emil froze. I understand. We'll take the principal and leave immediately. Chapter 51, Little Naruto is online. In the end, Katsutoshi Emil left with an IOU and the principal amount, choosing to cut his losses. He knew better than to cross the Uchiha clan. Time to move on to the next household. Rin's mother, Keiko Noera, held Obito's hand gratefully. Thank you so much, young man. If it weren't for you today. Obito chuckled, waving his hand modestly. Hee, it was nothing, Antle. Don't worry about it. These guys were out of line. I'll mention it to my uncle and have him keep an eye on things. Keiko pointed at the house behind her and smiled. To show my thanks, how about having dinner at our place tonight? Auntie's cooking is really good. Obito scratched his head shyly. Wouldn't that be imposing? Half a second later, all right, I'll take you up on that offer. Keiko. Couldn't you at least hesitate for 2 seconds? Or let me say something polite first? The way you switched gears in under a second, are you worried I'd steal your lines? Rin, fully aware of Obito's quirky personality, quickly stepped in, linking arms with her flustered mother. Mother, let's continue this inside. Oh, right. After they entered the house, Keiko tied her hair back and donned an apron. Rin, keep your friend company in the living room while I prepare dinner. Rin nodded obediently. Of course, Mother. Once Keiko went into the kitchen, Rin turned to Obito. Obito, thank goodness you were there today. I wouldn't have known what to do without you. Obito grinned smugly. Hee hee, protecting Rin is my duty. Stop teasing. Rin's cheeks flushed as she playfully punched him. By the way, Obito-kun, coming over so late, did you need something? Obito shook his head, replying earnestly. Nope. I just missed you after not seeing you all day, so I thought I'd drop by. Why, is that not allowed? Rin's voice softened. Of course, it's allowed. The two chatted for a while until Keiko brought out the dishes. It had to be said Keiko's cooking was excellent. Obito couldn't stop praising it as he ate. After dinner, Obito helped clear the dishes before standing up to leave. Come by any time, Obito, Keiko said warmly. Rin, see your friend out. Obito smiled. No need to see me off, Auntie. I live nearby. Goodbye, Auntie. Goodbye, Rin-chan dash. Humming a little tune, Obito walked home cheerfully. I'll love you endlessly, keep you by my side with all my heart. Today had gone perfectly. He couldn't help but think. Now that I've met Rin's family, we're one step closer. Ah, life is great dash. Obito flopped onto his small bed, grinning ear to ear. It wasn't long before he drifted off to sleep, but his rest was interrupted by a sudden alert in his mind. System, task completed. Reward, a unit of chakra. What the dash? Obito bolted upright, his heart racing from the unexpected announcement. I was just sleeping. What task did I finish? Squinting, he looked at the imaginary screen before him. 1 chakra card. Could it be? Was it that task about finding a way for Naruto to be born early? Does this mean Sensei and Kushina had their baby? Walt, something doesn't seem quite right. Too excited to sleep, Obito leaped out of bed. An extra chakra card. This is awesome. Hee hee, I'm officially ahead of Kakashi now. When I master Chidori later, I'll spar with that poser for 3 days and nights. I'll show him what real endurance looks like. And with more chakra, it'll be easier for me to use Sage Mode. One word, amazing. Obito was so elated that he created a shadow clone on the spot, as if he were suddenly rich and needed to celebrate. Shadow clone jutsu. With a puff of smoke, the clone appeared, blinking at the real Obito. Obito, I swear I can only tolerate this 3 times. Next time you, asterisk. Before the clone could finish, Obito slapped it into oblivion. Oops. Wrong one. Let's try again. Shadow clone jutsu. Another shadow clone materialized, stretching as though it had been stuck in a waiting room forever. Ah, finally my turn to be out. Obito stared at the clone, stroking his chin thoughtfully. With this much chakra, I can probably use clones for training now. The clone sighed. Should have stayed back. Mind if I return? Obito dispersed the clone and flopped back onto his bed. Walt, did I mess up Naruto's cheat system by doing this? He mulled over the thought for a moment but dismissed it. Naruto would probably choose a happy family over a cheat system anyway. With that, he fell into a deep sleep again. The next day, Obito woke up with dark circles under his eyes. I swear, no more late nights. If I do it again, I'll make the same promise. Yawning, he arrived at their usual meeting spot. Morning, Rin. Morning, Kakashi. Good morning, Obito. Morning. Glancing around, Obito noticed Minato Sensei wasn't there yet. He must have been up late with the baby. Sidling up to Rin, he grinned mischievously. Rin, do you believe in astrology? I heard Aquarius and Scorpio are a perfect match dash. Rin blinked her large eyes and replied, we Scorpios are naturally skeptical. I don't believe in that stuff, TM. Kakashi. Obito. At that moment, Obito swore he could feel his entire body shatter into 400 pieces. A little while later, Minato arrived with heavy bags under his eyes. Despite his exhaustion, his happiness was evident. Obito walked up, grinning. Minato-sensei, you're late. Minato smiled apologetically. Sorry. I had some things to take care of and got delayed. There's no mission today, so just focus on your training. Let me know if you need help. Kakashi studied Minato closely and asked, Sensei, is this a shadow clone? Minato nodded. Yes, it is. I'm still wrapping up things on my end, so... Chapter 52, let me show you something. Kakashi, this guy. Obito stepped forward and grabbed Kakashi's arm without explanation, dragging him toward a small grove. You can carry on with your work, Minato-sensei. Don't worry about us, we're off to train. Obito announced cheerfully. Rin smiled and waved at Minato, then followed them. I'll join you, Minato-sensei. Minato sighed with a mix of amusement and fondness. Obito may not always seem reliable, but he knows when to take things seriously. In the grove, Kakashi glanced at Obito, adjusting his forehead protector. What's up with you? Did you find something out? Feigning innocence, Obito replied, Find out what? I have no idea what you're talking about. Kakashi snorted and shrugged off Obito's arm, heading to train on his own. Such a tsundere. Obito muttered under his breath, rolling his eyes. He slowed his pace, falling in step beside Rin. Rin, what are you planning to practice today? Need me to spar with you? Rin shook her head, smiling warmly. No need, Obito. I can manage on my own. Obito sighed dramatically. Alright, but if you need a sparring partner, just say the word. Got it. Watching her walk off, Obito let out a soft sigh before starting his own training. But it didn't take long for boredom to set in. His eyes flicked toward Kakashi, who was training nearby. A mischievous grin spread across his face as an idea popped into his head. Kakashi noticed Obito approaching and frowned, sheathing his short sword. What do you want? Obito smirked. Come here, Kakashi. I've got something to show you. Kakashi hesitated, glancing around suspiciously before leaning in slightly. Rin is right over there. Don't you think that's inappropriate? Obito, 777. What the heck is this guy thinking? It's nothing weird. Obito groaned. It's legit, no need to hide it from anyone. Kakashi unsheathed his short sword again, waving it lazily. I don't have time for this. I need to train. Seriously? Who cares about legitimate stuff anyway? Obito. Eventually, Obito forcibly dragged Kakashi deeper into the forest. Rin paused her training, watching the two disappear with a somewhat complicated expression. Kakashi and Obito really are inseparable. Obito finally stopped in a secluded spot, releasing his hold on Kakashi. Kakashi shot him a deadpan look, his usual slouch making him look thoroughly unimpressed. Alright, what's this big deal? Let's see it. Grinning, Obito rubbed his hands together theatrically. Prepare yourself, you'll be amazed. He quickly formed hand seals, exhaling deeply. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. A massive fireball soared through the air, crashing into the ground ahead. That's it? Kakashi raised an eyebrow, his tone dripping with boredom. What a waste of time and chakra. Don't rush to judgment, Obito grinned slyly. Keep watching. He repeated the seals, releasing another fireball. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. And another. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. And another. After about 20 consecutive fireballs, Kakashi's indifferent demeanor started to crack. Star, just how much chakra do you have? He muttered, visibly astonished. Obito wasn't done. Earth release, earth-style wall. Earth release, earth-style wall. Earth release, earth-style wall x20. Kakashi stood frozen, his face shifting from mild irritation to outright disbelief. This guy's chakra reserves are insane. Obito finally stopped, looking very pleased with himself. He clapped the dust off his hands and grinned at Kakashi. Well? Pretty impressive, huh? Kakashi snorted, crossing his arms. I guess it's all right. Obito sighed dramatically. That's what I think too. I mean, just now, all those jutsu took up almost a third of my chakra. Ugh, my reserves are so small. Kakashi rolled his eyes, muttering, childish, before turning to leave. Hey, wait! Let's train together. Obito called after him. Humph. Later that afternoon, Obito planned to invite Kakashi for a game of shogi. But before he could, guys swooped in and dragged Kakashi off for a sparring match. So, Obito picked up his small wooden box and headed to find Shikayu instead. The Nara residence was enormous, easily 3 times the size of Obito's home. It even had a small pavilion surrounded by a beautifully landscaped garden. If he's not on a mission, he's probably there, Obito muttered, navigating the familiar paths. Sure enough, he spotted a lazy pineapple-haired figure lying on the wooden deck, staring at the sky. Hearing footsteps, Shikayu propped himself up. Huh? What are you doing here? Obito grinned, holding up the box. Want to play some shogi, buddy? Shikayu shrugged, a smile tugging at his lips. Sure. I was just bored. The two settled in the pavilion, unfolding the board and setting up the pieces. To his surprise, Shikayu complimented him after a few rounds. Not bad, Obito. You're better at this than I expected. Obito grinned sheepishly. I dabble. I'm terrible at schoolwork, but stuff like this is fun. In truth, Shikayu was deliberately going easy on him. Crushing his opponent in 10 moves wasn't fun for anyone. Games were most enjoyable when evenly matched. Still, after a while, Obito grew suspicious. Hey, Shikayu, are you letting me win? Shikayu was taken aback but quickly masked it with a casual shrug. Why would I do that? Obito squinted at him. This feels like a weird win-lose pattern. Almost like I'm being manipulated. Shikayu chuckled softly, saying nothing. They played until sunset, their stomachs eventually growling in unison. Want to stay for dinner? Shikayu offered. Obito beamed. Sure. What are you making? Shikayu scratched his head awkwardly. I can't cook. But we've got canned food. Don't worry, everyone. This fanfic is single heroine focused. But hey, it's Naruto, we can't skip out on brotherly or bromantic moments, right? Chapter 53, A New Kekkai Genkai. Obito smacked his forehead. Man, what was he even thinking? Shikayu was such a lazy guy. There was no way he'd cook something himself. Guess we'll just have some canned food, Obito suggested. Shikayu nodded. All right. Walt here for a moment. With that, he dashed home, quick as a flash, and returned holding 2 cans. Obito, which one do you want? Obito glanced at the cans. They looked nearly identical. Curiosity got the better of him. What's in them? One's black pepper beef, and the other is also black pepper beef, Shikayu explained matter-of-factly. Obito sighed. Seriously? Got anything else? Yeah, hold on. Shikaya darted back home and reappeared with a whole cardboard box. I've got potato beef, tomato and egg, kung pao chicken. Whoa! He had quite the variety. Obito pondered for a moment. So, which one tastes better? Shikaya thought for a second before replying earnestly. To be honest, none of them are particularly good. Obito, you're really making this tough for my decision-making skills. After some internal debate, Obito grabbed the tomato and egg can. Shikaya opened a potato beef one for himself. The two of them settled down at a small pavilion, chatting as they ate. So, Obito, how's the tomato and egg can? Shikaya asked. Obito smacked his lips a few times, tasting it carefully. It's alright, I guess. Tastes like tomatoes. Their conversation was light and meaningless, the kind that didn't require much thought. Chapter 53, A New Kekkei Genkai. Obito smacked his forehead. Man, what was he even thinking? Shikaya was such a lazy guy. There was no way he'd cook something himself. Guess we'll just have some canned food, Obito suggested. Shikaya nodded. All right. Walt here for a moment. With that, he dashed home, quick as a flash, and returned holding 2 cans. Obito, which one do you want? Obito glanced at the cans. They looked nearly identical. Curiosity got the better of him. What's in them? One's black pepper beef, and the other is, also black pepper beef, Shikaya explained matter-of-factly. Obito sighed. Seriously? Got anything else? Yeah, hold on. Shikaya darted back home and reappeared with a whole cardboard box. I've got potato beef, tomato and egg, kung pao chicken. Whoa! He had quite the variety. Obito pondered for a moment. So, which one tastes better? Shikaya thought for a second before replying earnestly. To be honest, none of them are particularly good. Obito, 777. You're really making this tough for my decision-making skills. After some internal debate, Obito grabbed the tomato and egg can. Shikaya opened a potato beef one for himself. The two of them settled down at a small pavilion, chatting as they ate. So, Obito, how's the tomato and egg can? Shikaya asked. Obito smacked his lips a few times, tasting it carefully. It's alright, I guess. Tastes like tomatoes. Their conversation was light and meaningless, the kind that didn't require much thought. After finishing their meal, they both leaned back, rubbing their full stomachs, gazing at the moon. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then Shikaya broke the silence. Be careful these days. The border's been pretty unstable lately? Obito glanced at Shikaya thoughtfully. As a member of the Nara clan, Shikaya probably knew some insider information. You're the one who needs to be careful, Obito said seriously. After all, in the original timeline of his memories, Shikaya didn't seem to exist in the story. A bad feeling gnawed at Obito. Shikaya might die in the Third Shinobi War. And not just him, maybe Sparrow, Ryoko, and the others too. Of course, Sparrow wasn't from a major clan. Maybe he was just so insignificant to the plot that Kishimoto didn't bother drawing him. Seeing Shikaya's indifferent attitude, Obito frowned. I'm telling you, take some time to train instead of always complaining about how troublesome it is, Obito chided. In the face of absolute strength, clever tricks won't save you. Shikaya snorted softly. Yeah, I got it. On his way home, Obito sighed deeply. War. In this world, only great strength ensures survival. The Battle of Canopy Bridge loomed like the sword over his head, reminding him never to relax. What should I focus on improving in the coming days? Just as Obito was lost in thought, the system chimed in, ding. 3 options appeared before him. Option 1, break the current record and become the youngest Jonin in Konoha history. Reward, Hope of the Village. Option 2, master 3 forbidden techniques by any means. Reward, Flying Thunder God Technique. Option 3, proficiently master 20 Fire Style and 20 Earth Style Jutsu. Reward, Kekkojin Cat, Lava Release. Hope of the Village, as the record-breaking prodigy, you'll be seen as the village's hope. All attributes increase by 10% until your record is broken. Whoa, whoa, whoa! These rewards are amazing. Obito exclaimed as he studied the glowing screen. But option 2 is just absurd. Sure, Flying Thunder God is tempting, but I can't even get close to Forbidden Jutsu right now. Asterisk and Forbidden Jutsu take forever to learn. I'm not Minato Sensei or Orochimaru. What if I spend years and still can't figure one out? Compared to that, options 1 and 3 seem more realistic. Both had their challenges, but Obito was confident he could achieve either before the Canopy Bridge battle. Though, if I really do become a Jonin, the village might send our team to the front lines. He shuddered at the thought. That's a meat grinder out there. Plus, Konoha's full of geniuses. That bonus probably wouldn't last long. After careful deliberation, Obito chose option 3. 333333331. With his decision made, his steps became noticeably lighter. With my current strength, adding Lava Release, I'll crush regular Jonin like nothing. Back home, lying on his little bed, Obito began strategizing. For Fire Style, I can ask Uncle for help. As for Earth Style, Uncle doesn't know much himself. What now? Minato Sensei isn't good with Earth Style, and he's busy with baby stuff these days. No way he has time to arrange a teacher for me. Asterisk, should I approach that person? I could even build some connections while I'm at it. Resolving to do just that, Obito pulled his blanket over his head and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Obito stood outside the Hokage's office. After a thorough inspection by the Umbu, he entered the office. Hiruzen set down his teacup, surprised. Oh, little Obito, what brings you here? Something you need from Grandpa? Obito grinned. Hokage Grandpa, I'd like you to teach me some Earth-style jutsu. That's right. The person Obito wanted to ask for help was the third Hokage. There were two reasons for this. First, the third Hokage, known as the Professor, had mastered all 7 chakra natures and was proficient in every type of ninjutsu. Second, Obito wanted to build some goodwill. In psychology, there's something called the Ben Franklin effect. Asking someone for a small favor can make them like you more. The third Hokage looked at Obito with a trace of guilt. Little Obito, Grandpa has a lot of paperwork to handle today. I don't have time to teach you. Obito formed a hand seal and used his transformation jutsu. Ah, come on, Hokage Grandpa dash, he said in a sultry tone. In front of the Hokage now stood a beautiful, curvaceous woman with long black hair. Hiruzen wiped the blood from his nose and said solemnly, "All right. Come back later, after I finish my work, and I'll guide your training." The lady bowed politely. "Thank you, Grandpa Hokage," she said sweetly before leaving. As Obito left, Hiruzen glanced at the mountain of documents on his desk and sighed. After a moment, he slammed his hand on the desk. An Umbu member appeared silently. "Hokage-sama, your orders?" "Take these files to Danzo. Tell him I'm busy today and need him to handle them." "Yes." Chapter 54, The Third Hokage and Obito. The truth was, the third Hokage didn't decide to mentor Obito just because of the sexy jutsu. In Konoha, no high-ranking ninja would falter from such a test. His decision stemmed from deeper considerations. Obito, though impulsive, had undeniable potential. What's more, he was technically a part of the third's own group. And then there was Obito's unusual background. Taking everything into account, the third Hokage felt it was worth investing some time and energy into this boy. Hiruzen stood up slowly, stretching his body with a satisfying groan. "Well, that's the last of today's paperwork. What a tiring day." He took off his Hokage robes, revealing a simple black outfit underneath, and headed outside. At the door, an ANBU member respectfully asked, "Hokage-sama, shall we accompany you?" Hiruzen waved his hand with a chuckle. "No need. You all can take a break." Who would dare attack him in his own village? Stepping out of the Hokage tower, Hiruzen soon spotted Obito loitering idly in the distance. With a warm smile, he called out, "Obito! Come here. Grandpa's taking you to train in ninjutsu." Obito blinked in surprise before jogging over. "Hokage Grandpa, you finished all that paperwork already? That's amazing." Hiruzen stroked his goatee, laughing heartily. "Haha, handling paperwork is the bare minimum for a Hokage. Come on, let's head to the training grounds in the west of the village." As they walked, villagers greeted Hiruzen along the way. He returned every greeting with a kind smile, carrying none of the airs of a leader, more like a benevolent elder. Obito muttered under his breath, "Being Hokage seems like a tough job." At the training grounds, Hiruzen stood before Obito, contemplating for a moment before speaking. "Today, I'll teach you the Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears." He explained, this technique channels chakra into the earth, condensing rock and salt into sharp spikes to pierce enemies from below. The key is. As expected of the professor, Hiruzen's detailed and straightforward explanation left Obito wide-eyed. Who knew ninjutsu could be taught like this? After a few demonstrations, Hiruzen smiled and said, "All right, Obito, give it a try?" "Yes." Obito formed the seals and slammed his hands onto the ground. Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears. A gentle breeze swept through the training grounds. Nothing happened. Obito scratched his head. Was it because I didn't shout loud enough? Or maybe I didn't hit the ground hard enough? He tried again, shouting louder this time. Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears. Thud! An awkward silence fell as a lone crow cawed and flew by. Obito clutched his sore hand. Ouch! That hurt, TT. Hiruzen couldn't help but laugh. Don't be discouraged, Obito. The Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears isn't easy to master. It's perfectly normal not to succeed on your first try. Glancing at the time, Hiruzen smiled. All right, Obito, keep practicing here. I've got some other matters to attend to. He patted Obito's shoulder. When you've mastered this jutsu, come find me, and I'll teach you another 1 inch. As he walked away, Hiruzen thought, finally, an early end to my workday. I can enjoy some personal time tonight. Okay. Obito nodded, watching the Hokage leave. Just as he prepared to focus on his practice, a familiar screen appeared in his mind. Choices. 1. Tell the third Hokage, actually, I was just messing with you earlier. I've already mastered this jutsu. Reward, Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears. 2. Tell the third Hokage, this jutsu is way too easy. Can't you teach me something more advanced? Reward, unknown. 3. Tell the third Hokage, thank you so much. My grandma just brewed some new fruit wine. I'll bring you a couple jars later. Reward, dutiful descendant. Dutiful descendant, when assisting elders, all stats increase by 5%. Obito quickly scanned the options. Unknown reward? That sounds like a trap. Pass. Dutiful descendant? Feels a bit off. Pass. Option 1 it is. Without hesitation, Obito called out, Hokage Grandpa, wait. Hiruzen turned around, curious. What is it, Obito? Obito grinned. Actually, I was just messing with you earlier. I've already mastered the jutsu. Oh? The third Hokage raised an eyebrow. Choice selected. Reward obtained, Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears. The moment the reward activated, Obito formed seals and slammed his hands on the ground. Watch this. Earth Release, Earth Flow Spears. SHHHHT. A series of sharp spikes shot up from the earth, rising nearly 3 meters high. Hiruzen's expression froze. He really mastered it? This boy's talent rivals even Orochimaru's. But his personality. Glancing at the time again, Hiruzen chuckled. Well then, let me teach you another jutsu, Earth Release, Earth Spear Jutsu. It's similar to the Earth Flow Spears but involves a slightly different chakra manipulation. After another thorough demonstration, Hiruzen let Obito try. Despite flailing around for a while, Obito couldn't quite get the hang of it this time. Phew! Relieved that Obito didn't master it instantly, Hiruzen smiled and prepared to leave. But just as he turned, Obito called out again, Hokage Grandpa. With a sigh, Hiruzen turned back. Obito, don't tell me you were messing with me again? Obito laughed sheepishly. No. I just wanted to thank you for your guidance today. Hiruzen was momentarily taken aback but then smiled warmly. This is what grandpas are for. Take care, Obito. Goodbye, Grandpa. That evening, Danzo returned to the route in high spirits. But the sight of a towering stack of paperwork on his desk darkened his mood instantly. What is this, and why is it on my desk? A kneeling root member respectfully replied. These documents were sent from the Hokage's office. They said the Hokage had something come up and entrusted you to handle them. Danzo frowned. Hiruzen. What could be so urgent? The root member answered, the Hokage was seen earlier training Uchiha Obito at the village training grounds. Danzo's frustration balled over. Hiruzen, you take all the glory while leaving me with the thankless work. Slamming his hand on the desk, he muttered bitterly. The cursed Uchiha clan. Always troublemakers. Bring me a lamp. I'm staying here tonight. One man, one pen, one long night. Chapter 55, Time to Sweeten Things Up. Obito had thought through every possible scenario but failed to anticipate this one. He'd become etched into the mind of that sly old fox in such an unexpected way. These days, his life was very fulfilling. If the third Hokage was free, Obito would spar with him, learning some earth release techniques. If the Hokage wasn't available, he'd find his uncle to practice fire release. If neither had time, he'd reluctantly make do with his teacher. Of course, he hadn't neglected his taijutsu training either. One day, Minato suddenly gathered his 3 students. At the meeting spot, Minato looked at the trio and smiled. Come to my house for lunch today. I have some good news to share. Rin was the first to respond enthusiastically. Sure. Do we need to bring anything, Minato-sensei? Minato waved his hand with a laugh. Haha, just your presence will be enough. Yosh! Obito adjusted his goggles, already guessing what Minato's good news could be. It had to be that, his own little bundle of joy. Kakashi raised his hand thoughtfully. Sensei, will you be cooking, or will it be your wife? Minato scratched his nose with an awkward smile. Still traumatized from the last time you ate at my place, huh? Don't worry, I'll do the cooking today. Kakashi nodded in approval. Then I have no objections. At noon, Obito, Kakashi, and Rin arrived together at Minato's house. Rin stepped up and rang the doorbell. Ding dong! The door quickly opened, and there stood Kushina, cradling a tiny blonde baby in her arms. Rin. Kakashi. Obito, ***. As the one who had caused this in the first place, Obito couldn't even muster a convincing look of surprise. Rin's heart melted at the sight of the adorable baby. What a cute little baby! Could it be 7-inch? Kushina nodded with a radiant smile. That's right. Minato appeared from behind her, grinning at the shocked expressions of Rin and Kakashi. Yes, we've had a child. They were ushered into the house, where Rin eagerly volunteered to hold the baby, cooing at him as she did. After a while, her curiosity got the better of her. Minato-sensei, why didn't you or Kushina ever mention this to us before? Minato had clearly prepared his explanation in advance. Well, We weren't sure whether we wanted to go through with having a child, so we hesitated for a long time. By the time we made up our minds, Kushina was already close to her due date. We didn't want anyone to worry, so we decided to wait until everything was settled before sharing the news. Rin nodded, her expression sincere. Oh, I see. That makes sense. Kakashi stayed quiet, but a glimmer of suspicion flickered in his eyes. Obito, however, grinned cheekily. Congratulations, Sensei and Kushina-san. What's the little one's name? Minato's gaze softened. We've named him Namikaze Naruto. Obito chuckled. Oh, just like the protagonist of the tale of the utterly gutsy ninja. You two must have high hopes for little Naruto, huh? Minato and Kushina exchanged a warm glance, smiling in silent agreement. The table was soon filled with delicious food, prepared by Minato himself. As they ate, Rin kept cradling Naruto, allowing Kushina to eat without interruption. Obito observed the baby burrowing into Rin's chest and thought to himself, this little guy, could he be another transmigrator from my world? Time passed quickly. Obito's system task to master 20 fire and earth release jutsu each turned out to be far more challenging than he imagined. Mastery, as defined by the system, required a level of seamless precision that wasn't easy to achieve. It took him nearly a year to finally see the notification. Task completed. Reward, Kekkei Genkai Lava Release. Phew, that was grueling, but the reward is absolutely worth it, Obito muttered to himself. Lava Release, a combination of fire and earth chakra, was a fearsome Kekkei Genkai with destructive power. If applied correctly, it could even enhance taijutsu. If he could one day cover his entire body in molten lava, like the Four Tails Jinchuriki, forming a lava armor, he might even rival Kage-level shinobi. Of course, he wasn't there yet. Having just acquired Lava Release, Obito focused on the basics, combining it with taijutsu and other simple techniques. Although he practiced in secluded areas to avoid attention, he couldn't escape the notice of those with sharp eyes. When the third Hokage learned of Obito's Lava Release, he was utterly stunned. Back when Obito first expressed interest in Earth Release, Hiruzen had laughed it off as a child's whim. Developing a new Kekkei Genkai? Even elite shinobi struggled with such feats, let alone a 12-year-old boy. But now, Obito had actually done it. Unbelievable. Hiruzen made up his mind. This child is staying under my watch. No one else gets a say. Meanwhile, in the shadows, another figure took notice of Obito's growing talent. Danzo, holding a report in his hand, smirked coldly. No wonder Hiruzen is so interested in this kid. Such potential is indeed tempting. Tossing the report aside, Danzo rubbed his temples. A talent like this. If I can't recruit him, RTL have to destroy him. He's from the Uchiha clan, after all. If left unchecked, he could become a threat to the village. Half a year later, Obito and Rin strolled side by side through the streets of Konoha. Rin looked up at him with wide eyes. Obito, why didn't you join Kakashi for the Jonin selection this time? Though others might not know, Rin was well aware of Obito's strength. He could have easily qualified as a Jonin. Obito replied lazily, I'm not interested in being a Jonin. Translation, I'd rather not risk dying. Rin blinked and then asked again, do you think Kakashi will pass the exam? Obito shrugged. Probably. That guy's pretty capable. Rin pumped her fist excitedly. Yay! That means Kakashi will be the first of us to become a Jonin. What should we get him as a gift to celebrate? She asked. Don't know, Obito mumbled, sounding disinterested. Rin giggled, a mischievous glint in her eyes. Obito, are you jealous? Obito turned his head away, protesting weakly. I am not jealous. Rin stepped closer, her smile growing slyer. Oh really? Then why do you look jealous? Obito a step back, only to find himself pinned against a wall. I swear, I'm not, he blurted. Rin leaned in, placing one arm against the wall beside his head, trapping him in the corner. Her face was so close now, her voice teasing. Then why do I feel like you are? Obito's heart raced as she leaned even closer, her laughter soft and sweet in his ears. Chapter 56, Let's Be Together. Their eyes met, and their faces were so close they were almost touching. A gentle breeze brushed past, causing the girl's hair to sweep across his face, her fragrance lightly tickling his senses. Even the sound of her breathing was crystal clear to him. Thump 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 thump. Obito's heart pounded wildly, like a car engine roaring at full throttle. His face turned scarlet as he stammered. I think, maybe. I'm a little jealous, softly. Rin chuckled knowingly, her laughter as bright as ever. Why's that? Don't tell me you think I like Kakashi? Obito didn't answer, but the "isn't that obvious" look on his face spoke volumes. Rin sighed softly, her laughter fading as she explained. Obito, you know, admiration and liking someone are two different things to me. I admire Kakashi. A lot of girls in class do. He's incredibly talented in so many ways. Maybe some girls like him because of that, but not me. I just want to become as capable as he is. Besides, I already have someone I like. Obito's head shot up. It was as if his brain had short-circuited. Rin already had someone she liked? And it wasn't Kakashi? Then who could it be? Could it be me? Who? Who is it? He couldn't help but ask. Rin smiled softly. The person I like is a big dummy who always manages to make a fool of himself. Everyone calls him a loser, but when it really matters, he's the most reliable of all. He's late to everything, but whenever I'm upset, he's always the first to show up and cheer me up, no matter what it takes. And every holiday, he gives me gifts, weird ones, but still. But you know what? I just like that dummy. Do you get it now, dummy? Obito's eyes turned red, overwhelmed by emotion. Yet, he still couldn't quite believe what he was hearing. A fool, always late, a big dummy. That has to be me, right? He was so tempted to slap himself, just to make sure he wasn't dreaming. Nervously, he asked with a mix of hope and fear. Rin, are you talking about me? Rin rolled her eyes at him. Dummy, after everything I just said, who else could it be? It's really me. Obito's face flushed as his brain went blank. Seeing him dazed, Rin bit her lip and asked. If you've liked me all this time, why haven't you said anything? Obito stammered. I thought. Tears glistened in Rin's eyes as she interrupted. You thought? You thought? Do you know how long I've been waiting for you? In the end, I still had to be the one to say it first. In a world where most people were married by 15 or 16, being 14 wasn't all that young anymore. Don't cry, Rin. Obito awkwardly wiped her tears away. I like you. Let's be together. Humph, at least you're not completely hopeless. Rin smiled again, a smile as radiant as cherry blossoms in full bloom. Then, I'll say yes. Yes. Oh. Obito pulled Rin into a tight hug, holding her as if he never wanted to let go. Ah, young love is so sweet. When will it be my turn? Ugh, even Obito has found someone, and here I am still single. How troublesome, what's there to envy? A sudden interruption made Obito freeze. He turned slowly, and there they were, his oh-so-familiar three teammates. Shikayu, Nagano, Ryoko? When did you guys get here? Rin quickly wriggled out of his embrace, her face as red as a tomato as she adjusted her clothes. Shikayu rubbed his chin in thought. Probably around the part where Rin said she liked someone who's a big dummy. Ryoko shook her head. No, it was a bit earlier than that. Nagano, with his arm slung around Shikayu, added with a smirk. Yeah, somewhere around there. Anyway, we heard everything what we were supposed to and what we weren't. Shikayu nodded slightly. Yeah, But seeing how into each other you two were, we didn't want to interrupt. So we waited for the right moment to say hi. Rin covered her face with her hands, feeling the heat radiating from her cheeks. Could this be any more embarrassing? Obito, on the other hand, wasn't too fazed. He'd been through worse. After all, what's a little social death to someone like him? He just sighed, realizing how absorbed he'd been earlier, so much so that he didn't even notice the eavesdroppers. Waiting dismissively, he said, "All right, you three lonely singles, get lost already. Don't ruin my moment with Rin." Nagano grinned slyly. Fine, fine, we'll leave you lovebirds alone. Have fun." Shikayu clicked his tongue. "Forget about us, huh? All right, we're off." Ryoko giggled enviously. "Obito, you better take good care of Rin, okay? Bye-bye." The three left, their faces full of knowing smiles. Rin let out a soft "oh no," burying her face in her hands. "Why'd you have to say that just now? It's so embarrassing." Obito grabbed her hands, chuckling nervously. What's wrong with saying the truth?" "Ugh, you're impossible." She lightly punched his chest, her face still burning. Chapter 57, Buying a Gift for Kakashi. Obito and Rin strolled down the bustling streets, walking shoulder to shoulder as the golden sunlight bathed the village. This time, however, their hands were intertwined, and both wore radiant, contented smiles. Obito glanced at Rin, her laughter as delicate as petals in the wind, and a warm sensation swelled in his chest. It felt surreal. Noticing his lingering gaze, Rin tilted her head, her curious eyes meeting his. She grinned playfully. "What's wrong, Obito? Why are you staring at me like that?" Obito squeezed her hand gently and replied, "Just thinking how happy I am to be with you every day. I could look at you forever and still not get enough." Rin's cheeks flushed crimson. "Obito, you're so embarrassing." They wandered between stalls, Rin tugging him along as her attention flitted from one trinket to another. "Obito, do you think this hairpin looks good on me? How about this bracelet? Does it suit me?" Obito answered each question with an affectionate smile. "Rin, you look beautiful in anything." Without hesitation, he took out his wallet and purchased the items Rin had admired, one by one. After some time, Obito suggested, "Rin, we've been walking around for a while. Are you hungry? How about I grab some dango for us?" Rin's eyes lit up as she nodded. "Sounds great. I'll hold the bags while you go." "All right." Obito handed over the shopping bags, then dashed off, his arms swinging behind him as he disappeared down the street. When he returned with a box of dango, he made an unnecessarily dramatic entrance, leaping across rooftops and flipping to the ground with an exaggerated flair, drawing curious stares from passers-by. With a triumphant grin, he presented the box to Rin. "Here you go, Rin. Fresh and warm, just for you." Kin giggled as she took a skewer. "Obito, why were you in such a rush earlier? What if you'd fallen?" Scratching his head sheepishly, Obito laughed. I just didn't want to be away from you for too long." Rin rolled her eyes but couldn't suppress her smile. "Then how are you going to survive tonight when we're apart?" Obito smirked. "Guess I'll cry myself to sleep." "Che!" Rin teased, sticking her tongue out at him. As they walked, chatting between bites of dango, Rin suddenly grew thoughtful. "Obito, do you remember my earlier question? Are you still upset about it?" Obito shook his head, his smile soft. "Not at all. Ask away." Rin clapped her hands together. "What do you think we should get for Kakashi as a gift?" Obito pondered for a moment. Something practical. He's a total pragmatist. Flashy stuff doesn't interest him." Rin nodded in agreement. "True. You really do know him well, Obito." Waving a hand modestly, Obito chuckled. "Not that well. How about an emergency medical kit?" I know a pharmacy that stocks some of the best supplies. Rin's eyes sparkled with excitement. That sounds perfect. Let's go. Obito smiled and gently held up his hand. Wait, Rin. Aren't you forgetting something? Rin blinked, confused. Before laughing, she walked back to him and laced her fingers through his. Better? Much better, Obito said with a satisfied nod. Let's go. Oh, by the way, the pharmacy's actually the other way. Hand in hand, they headed to the familiar store. At the counter, a striking woman sat with her legs crossed. Her sharp eyes gleamed as she smirked. Well, if it isn't our esteemed Chunin gracing my humble shop. What brings you here today, Obito? Obito winced at her teasing tone. Noticing Rin's curious gaze, he offered a nervous laugh. Yuki-ne-san, can we not revisit this? Please? Yuki shrugged, her lips quirking up mischievously as she glanced at Rin. Not bad, kid. Gone a few days and already snagged such a lovely girlfriend. Beaming with pride, Obito puffed out his chest. That's right. Rin blushed but remained composed. Hello, Yuki-san. My name's Noura Rin, Obito's girlfriend. Yuki's expression softened as she inclined her head slightly. Pleasure to meet you, Rin-chan. So, what can I help you two with today? Sharing a glance, Obito and Rin explained, we'd like to customize an emergency medical kit for a friend, something top of the line. Yuki nodded and disappeared into the back room. She returned shortly with a sleek kit and placed it on the counter. Friendship discount, 30,000 Ryo. Rin gasped. That's expensive. Obito, however, seemed unfazed. Quality comes at a price. Yuki-san's stuff is worth every Ryo. Though, privately, he couldn't resist thinking, even Kakashi will have no choice but to admit it's good. Rin hesitated but nodded. Alright, let's split it. This way, it's from both of us. Obito smiled. Works for me. After paying, they bid Yuki farewell and left the shop, now carrying the perfect gift for Kakashi. By the time they finished dinner, the sky had darkened, and the streets had emptied. The once bustling marketplace was now eerily quiet. I should head home, Obito, Rin said softly. Tentatively, Obito slid an arm around her waist. Let me walk you back. Rin gave him a half-hearted glare but didn't protest, allowing him to hold her close as they made their way to her house. When they reached her door, Obito reluctantly released her. Till leave the kit with you, Rin. I should get going. Rin hesitated before tiptoeing to press a light kiss to his lips. Then, with a giggle, she dashed inside. See you tomorrow, Obito. See you, Rin, he whispered, touching his lips as warmth spread through him. Standing under the vast night sky, Obito murmured, this world. It's so beautiful. Family, love, friendship. I have it all. A dangerous gleam flickered in his eyes as he continued, his voice low and firm. I won't let anyone take this away. Whoever tries, will die. As his silhouette melted into the shadows, the ominous weight of the coming days loomed ever closer. Kakashi's promotion to Jonin, the day everything changed, was fast approaching. And Obito would be ready. Chapter 58, The Looming War. Obito didn't head home. Instead, he made his way straight into the depths of the forest. One more hour of training, then I'll head back to sleep, he muttered. Standing still, his hand suddenly ignited with flames. I feel like Fire Fist Ace all of a sudden. Asterisk. Walt, wrong universe, wrong universe. In the quiet of the night, he practiced a series of punches, only for a humorous thought to pop into his head. If I start waving my flaming hands around, I'd probably be the brightest guy in the woods right now. With that, he launched a powerful kick. Flames enveloped his leg as it crashed into a nearby tree. Take this! Call me the master of fiery kicks, Blackleg Sanji. Of course, Obito's abilities weren't from a devil fruit. They stem from his innovative use of lava release in taijutsu. Still, for now, I can barely manage to coat my hands and feet with lava release, he said, retracting the flames and slipping his shoes back on. It's decent for offense, but not much help defensively. He cracked his knuckles. Alright, let's try that move next. Forming a series of hand seals, he called out, Ox Rabbit Snake, Lava Release, Scorching Stream Rock Technique. Obito opened his mouth and spat out a stream of small molten rock spheres. Though the diameter of each orb wasn't particularly large, their extreme heat made them devastatingly lethal. Looking at the glowing orbs he had just created, Obito sighed. When the Four Tails Jinchuriki does this, it's a river. Me? I'm barely a trickling stream. Still, with the enhancement from these two lava release techniques, Obito mused. Most regular jonin wouldn't stand much of a chance against me now. After more practice, Obito packed up and headed home. As he reached his doorstep, a familiar ding rang in his mind, courtesy of the system. Option 1, if the moon isn't sleeping, neither am I. Who needs rest when you can train? Reward. Lava release proficiency plus 5. Option 2, training? Forget it. Late nights damage your kidneys. Just look at those dark circles under your eyes, go get some rest. Reward, stamina plus 5. Option 3, no training, no sleeping, just gaming. Pull an all-nighter playing your favorite MOBA. Reward, random skin X1. Obito scanned the options. The third one instantly annoyed him. How am I supposed to game without a phone? Pass. Option 1 looked tempting. Option 2. Stamina boost? Pfft. Who needs that? Late nights damage kidneys? Then I just won't sleep at all. Problem solved. Option 1, all the way? Still, Obito couldn't help but grumble. Hey, system, I was in the forest earlier, and you didn't say a thing. Now that I'm home, you suddenly hit me with choices? Are you messing with me? The system replied with a flat ding. Correct guess. Yes, I'm messing with you. Take it or leave it. Obito. He sighed. Alright, you win. With that, he turned right back around and returned to the clearing in the woods, diving back into his training. The next morning, as dawn broke, Guy arrived at the forest, ready to train, only to spot Obito jumping and darting around. A youth burning with passion even before sunrise, this is the essence of true youth. Guy exclaimed. Obito, please let me join you. Together, we'll ignite the flames of our youth. Choice complete. Reward, lava release proficiency plus 5. As soon as the notification appeared, Obito slumped in exhaustion, yawning. Guy, I've been training all night. I'm about to drop. Let's spar briefly, then I'm heading to bed. Though slightly disappointed, Guy nodded enthusiastically. Yosh! The two sparred for a short while before Obito, thoroughly spent, finally made his way home. 1 week later. Under the cherry blossoms, their pink petals swirling in the breeze, a group of young shinobi gathered, whispering among themselves. Ah, to be his classmate is both an honor and a burden, one sighed. What gift do you think he'd appreciate? Another wondered aloud. How about a girlfriend? That way, he can stop looking so grumpy all the time. You wish. That guy looks like he's destined to be single forever. Hey, why don't you get me one instead? Before the banter could escalate, a familiar figure came running up, looking apologetic. Sorry, I'm later. Obito, you're late again, Ring called out, stepping out from the crowd to greet him. Scratching the back of his head sheepishly, Obito chuckled. I didn't mean to be. There were just so many old ladies crossing the street today. Rin laughed, giving his forehead a light flick. You're hopeless. Come on, let's go. Taking his hand naturally, she began leading him forward. Walt, wasn't there a crowd of people watching? Their eyes met briefly. A silent conversation passed between them. Rin, should we really hold hands? It's kind of embarrassing. Obito, why not? Let them be jealous. Rin, still. This feels a little, but I'm okay with it. Obito, haha, didn't expect you to be like this, Rin. Let's go. Hand in hand, they approached the group. Kurenal was the first to notice, her eyes wide in surprise. Rin, you and Obito. Since when? The commotion drew the attention of everyone else, including Dai and Asuma. Before Rin or Obito could respond, an excited voice rang out. I know the whole story. Let me tell you all about it. Obito's forehead twitched. Nagano, shut up. With a flying kick, he sent Nagano hurtling into the air. As the two began brawling, Rin sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. Can we ignore those two and focus? Shikayu interjected, already accustomed to the chaos. The group resumed their discussion. Once plans were settled, everyone dispersed to prepare their gifts. On the walk home, still holding Rin's hand, Obito suddenly spoke, his voice serious. Rin, I've got a feeling the front lines are shifting, war might not be far off. Be prepared. Rin stiffened, her voice trembling slightly. War. Obito nodded solemnly. 3 days later, Kakashi would officially become a Jonin. And on that same day, the fateful Canopy Bridge mission would change their destinies forever. Chapter 59, Target, Canopy Bridge. 3 days later. Outside a dense, lush forest, Minato sat on a rock, waiting for his students. The usual smile on his face was missing today. The war between Iwagakure and Konohagakure had escalated into an all-out conflict, with armies pressing hard against the borders of the Land of Fire. The high-ranking combat forces of the village had been dispatched to the front lines, leaving Konohagakure in a dire state of manpower. Out of necessity, Minato had no choice but to send his students to the battlefield. Kakashi was the first to arrive, greeting his sensei with a nod. Minato sensei. Minato returned the gesture with a slight nod. Kakashi. A while later, Rin and Obito appeared, walking hand in hand. Good morning, Minato-sensei. Rin greeted with a bright smile. You too. Minato blinked in surprise before his expression turned complicated. Under different circumstances, he would have been delighted to congratulate them. But now... Kakashi glanced at the pair, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. That idiot finally confessed to her, huh? Then it hit him. Walt a second. Kakashi's expression froze. If those two were together now, didn't that leave him as the only single one in the team? Being single wasn't a big deal, or at least, that's what Kakashi always told himself. He'd never been particularly interested in romance. But what was unbearable was being surrounded by couples while still single. Even worse, his two closest friends were now a couple. And he'd have to third wheel with them on missions. Every single day. Kakashi's eyes widened in silent despair. How could this happen? Minato-sensei, good morning. Kakashi, what are you glaring at me for? Obito asked, puzzled by Kakashi's intense stare. Kakashi scoffed, refusing to answer. Obito was utterly confused. What did I do to piss him off? Rin reached into her bag and pulled out a small medical kit, holding it out to Kakashi with both hands. Kakashi, this is a gift from Obito and me. Congratulations on becoming a Jonin. Kakashi accepted the kit and tucked it into his pouch. Thanks, Rin. Minato took out a kunai from his pouch, managing a small smile. Here, Kakashi. This is a special kunai I had custom made for you. It's a bit heavier than usual, but once you get used to it, it's very effective. He tossed the kunai toward Kakashi, who caught it and slid it into his belt. Thank you, Minato-sensei. Hey! What about me? Why aren't you thanking me too? Obito protested, clearly displeased. Kakashi shot him a sidelong glance and scoffed again, leaving Obito dumbfounded. What's with this guy today? Once the team was assembled, Minato led them forward. With the situation at the front lines dire, there was no time to waste. As they moved, Minato explained, "With Konoha's forces stretched thin, we'll need to split up to maximize efficiency. Kakashi, you'll lead the team and handle the mission. I'll operate separately." Kakashi nodded. "Understood, Minato-sensei. But what exactly is our mission?" Minato turned back to them. "I'll explain the details soon. Let's keep moving for now." They stopped midway to rest, gathering around a flat rock as Minato spread out a map. "The land of Earth is currently attacking Kusagakure. It's only a matter of time before they push into the land of fire. To prevent this, your mission is to infiltrate enemy territory and destroy Canopy Bridge, their key supply route." The mention of Canopy Bridge sent a shiver down Obito's spine. The name itself gave him an ominous feeling, as if fate were trying to warn him. "So, we're cutting off their supply lines," Kakashi murmured. Minato nodded. "Exactly. Once we reach the border, we'll split up. I'll attack the enemy directly to create a diversion, allowing you to infiltrate and complete the mission. Afterward, retreat immediately." Rin's expression turned serious as she nodded. "Understood, Minato-sensei." Minato's gaze softened as he looked at their young faces. "Stay safe, all of you. Promise me you'll come back in one piece." The atmosphere grew heavy. Everyone understood the peril of their task. A single mistake could mean disaster. Sensing the tension, Obito grinned and puffed out his chest. "Don't worry, Minato-sensei. I'll protect both of them?" Kakashi scoffed. "Who needs your protection?" The group pressed on, eventually reaching a peculiar forest. The trees here were massive, with trunks wide enough to rival small buildings. Enormous mushrooms dotted the landscape, their sheer size making it seem as though one could feed a family for months. Kakashi raised his hand, signaling the others to stop. "There's an ambush ahead," he said quietly. Minato closed his eyes, his senses sharpening. 20 enemies. But most are likely shadow clones. "Be careful." Kakashi's eyes lit up with determination. "We'll handle the attack. The rest of you provide support." Minato frowned. "Don't be rash, Kakashi. Stay back and support instead." But Kakashi ignored the advice, forming seals as a fierce electrical aura crackled around him. The air was filled with the sound of 1,000 birds chirping as lightning danced on his fingertips. "With this jutsu, I can take them all out in one gore." Before he could charge forward, Minato blocked him with an outstretched arm. "No, Kakashi. Not yet." Obito placed a hand on Kakashi's shoulder, his tone uncharacteristically serious. "Listen to Minato-sensei, Kakashi. This jutsu isn't ready yet. There's no need to take unnecessary risks." Kakashi hesitated but eventually relented, letting the crackling lightning dissipate. "Fine. Obito and I will take point. Rin, you stay back and provide cover." Minato smiled in approval. "Good teamwork. Let's go." With that, the team sprang into action, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. Chapter 60, Ambushed and Killing the Enemy. A dozen shadow clones split into 3 groups, intercepting the 2 assailants rushing in. Hidden in the shadows, Minato observed the movement patterns of clones. After a few moments, he deduced the location of the real body. Behind that tree. Should I step in?" he murmured. After a pause, Minato shook his head. "Never mind, let's give the kids a chance. If they can't handle it, I'll finish him in an instant." Kakashi and Obito, both possessing the skills of Jonin, faced off against a mere shadow clone with ease. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Blade art. Flames roared, and the glint of steel tore through the air. The 2 dismantled shadow clones one by one. Watching his clones get wiped out so quickly left the enemy stunned and terrified. These brats. They really have the strength of Jonin. Seeing his clones eliminated, the ninja gritted his teeth. Caught between the two of them, there was no chance of escape. Instead of running, he decided to take the offensive, eliminate one of the brats first. With this thought, he silently descended to the ground, melting into the earth and vanishing from sight. Obito's gaze suddenly locked on a specific spot, the tomo in his sharingan spinning. A faint smirk played on his lips. Just what I was looking for. You've saved me the trouble of searching. The next moment, a figure erupted from the ground, a blade slashing ferociously toward Obito. But as the blade struck, Obito's body dissipated into smoke. It was just a shadow clone. Damn it! A chill of imminent danger surged. Whipping his head around, he was met with a torrent of flames surging toward him. He leapt back, propelling himself with all his strength, but then froze in place. His pupils contracted. A blade tip protruded from his chest. To think I'd die at the hands of two brats. I can't accept this, he murmured bitterly. Kakashi pulled the blade out coldly, letting the lifeless body slump to the ground. "Tch, Kakashi, you stole my kill," Obito complained, visibly annoyed. "And my great fireball technique. Seriously, it always misses." Kakashi glanced at Obito, uninterested in responding, and began cleaning the blade of white fang. As the battle concluded, Minato and Rin approached. Minato smiled warmly. "Impressive work, both of you. You even exceeded my expectations." Kakashi and Obito's seamless teamwork had quickly resolved the fight, leaving no need for him or Rin to intervene. Minato's expression turned serious as he continued. But that lone enemy was likely just on a routine patrol. The next encounter could very well be with a full team from Twagakure. Stay vigilant and don't let your guard down. The three nodded solemnly. Understood, Minato-sensei. They resumed their journey. Upon reaching a forest, Minato came to a stop. "This is as far as I can escort you. The rest is up to you." "Splitting up already?" The three exchanged glances, a trace of tension evident in their eyes. Minato raised his hand. "Scatter!" In an instant, Minato disappeared. Kakashi and the others delved into the forest, heading deeper into the Wagakure front lines. "Watch out!" Kakashi's voice rang out suddenly. Ahead of them lay a pit trap lined with sharp spikes. Rin examined it thoughtfully. "It seems we've entered the patrol range of an Wagakure team." Obito nodded, gently squeezing Rin's hand. "Exactly. The enemy could appear at any moment. Rin, stay close to me, and Kakashi, don't wander off." Rin blinked her large eyes. "I understand, Obito." "Tsk." Kakashi turned his head away, exasperated. "Do you two have to flirt right in front of me?" "Focus, Kakashi," Obito said seriously. "I've got a feeling we'll run into trouble soon. Stay sharp." Kakashi raised an eyebrow but gave a slight nod. "Got it." The three emerged from the forest, arriving at a creek. "This is the place." Obito tensed at the familiar sight. His muscles called, and he instinctively positioned himself in front of Rin. If his guess was correct, the two Wagakure Jonin were lurking nearby, watching them like predators. In the rocky outcroppings ahead, two ninja whispered to one another. "Magli hasn't returned since he went to scout," said the spiky-haired Jonin, Hibikawa. "Could it be those three brats actually took him out?" Beside him, a Jonin with a blue headband and a scarred face, Dalsiki, sneered. "If that's the case, we'll just grab one of them and interrogate them. Hiding with camouflage technique." Daisuke formed hand seals, blending into the surroundings seamlessly. By the creek, Obito splashed in the water, pretending to relax but remaining highly alert. Suddenly, a system notification chimed in Obito's mind. "System alert, choose your action. 1. Team up with your allies to kill Twagakure Jonin Hibikawa and Dalsiki. Reward, 0.3 chakra points. 2. Team up with your allies to drive away Hibikawa and Dalsiki. Reward, 0.2 chakra points. 3. Warn your teammates and retreat immediately. Reward, 0.1 chakra points. Obito barely hesitated before selecting the first option. Eliminating them completely ensures no chance of intelligence leaks. A full victory and the highest reward. Lowering his goggles, the sharingan flared to life, its tomo spinning rapidly. In an instant, Obito spun around, blade unsheathing in a blinding arc. Clang! A sharp metallic note echoed, the blade gleaming ominously in the sunlight. Daisuke's concealed form became visible, his face twisted in shock. How did you see me? What are those eyes? Asterisk. Blood sprayed from his neck as his body crumpled lifelessly to the ground. That's the end of this tale for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 4. Peace.